favorite Halloween movies ever. Also, like us says gay rights. Hey guys, welcome back to the CharmingAnalysis Halloween Spectacular. Ooh, my goodness. Also, yes, we're finally actually doing a review on an actual Halloween movie instead of a horror movie for the last, couple times. It's like, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
People are probably going to be like, guys, when are you guys going to actually do a Halloween movie? Well, we finally are! Yay!
Yay.
Alright, so today we're going to be doing actually two movies. One of them's pretty short and the other one's a decent length.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about the 2003 Scary Godmother, and we're going to be talking about Paranorman.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about Scary Godmother first, or do you want to talk about Paranorman first?
I don't care.
I guess let's talk about Scary Godmother first since we just watched it.
Okay.
So, why don't you tell them what Scary Godmother's about, honey?
You tell him, because I wasn't honestly paying attention.
Honey.
I honestly wasn't. Okay, one thing you gotta know about, I did not really watch it because I just really couldn't watch it. It's... You go ahead and explain the story.
Okay. Basically, Scary Godmother is about a little girl named Hannah who goes out trick-or-treating with her cousin Jimmy and his best friends. She ends up going into a haunted house and meeting her scary godmother after Jimmy and his friends scared her into the house. And then she basically makes friends with all these, Halloween monsters. And, yeah, that's basically the plot of it. It's not that, complicated of a plot, but I used to watch this movie so much, near Halloween. Because Cartoon Network used to put it on all the fucking time near Halloween. So I used to watch this constantly. But I think it's been a while since I last watched it because I think Cartoon Network didn't show it after, 2012, I think, is when they stopped showing it on there.
Mm-hmm.
At least that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a second movie, Revenge of Jimmy, which we may do a review on, but I don't know yet. We're still kind of deciding, because it's basically the same plot, except it's just mostly focused on, a different, point of view and stuff like that. But anyway, what did you think of Scary Godmother?
I don't have an opinion on Scary Godmother because I was only listening to the dialogue. It's one of those early animated things that I just cannot watch today. I cannot look at it today.
It really didn't age well animation-wise. This came out, 2003.
Uh-huh.
So this is fucking old as shit. So... And this was, 3D animated for the most part. With a little bit of 2D thrown in there, for backgrounds and stuff, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But, I will say the animation did not age very well. Compared to animation now, it's just, not as good. It's, very low quality. And this is one of the only fucking movies we actually had to look up on YouTube instead of somewhere else. YouTube actually had the entire fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they'll have the second one, too. They probably will, though.
I have no idea, and I have no interest in seeing it.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to do one on the second movie. If you guys want us to do one on the second movie, comment below. Because I think I've seen the first one way more than the second, though. So, I guess some things I think I should talk about it. Because we're going to basically talk about this one briefly. Because we don't have too much to say about it. Because the thing itself is, basically an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that long of, a Halloween special. But it was based on a book series called Scary Godmother. And it got adapted into 2 movies.
Okay.
From what I know. But I don't think there's a third.
Well, what did you think of it?
I personally thought it was
watched it.
I personally thought it was alright. I mainly watched this just for the nostalgia. Because I used to watch this all the time as a kid. But I really don't think it aged well. Nostalgia-wise, I did like a couple aspects of the movie. I did like the way they designed Scary Godmother. and Mr. Pettibone. Those are like the only two characters I feel like had like the best designs in my opinion. But other than that, most of the other characters, like, the animation is really wonky. Like, if you think about it, it's really wonky because it came out like 2003, and I think JC said the person made it as like a passion project, I believe. Something like that, because this movie and Revenge of Jimmy, I believe, I think were both adapted from a really old book series.
Yeah.
So I like that they actually adapted it, but I feel like this is one of those movies that desperately needs a remake. Or at least some kind of like reboot. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily...
I don't know, it's been almost 20 years since this came out, and if they would have remade it, they probably would have done it now.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, you know, it's a classic in my opinion, personally for me. It's a classic staple, at least in my house, that we used to watch this all the time, but I haven't watched it in years. I think this is the first time I've watched it in like 5-6 years, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So it really hasn't aged well, which is the sad part. And I can see why, though. And I can see why you didn't have that big of an interest on it. It's not for everybody. It's one of those movies to where you have to kind of, like, put the animation aside and just kind of listen more for the dialogue and the character interactions. Mm-hmm. But it's not that simple of a movie. Like, no, it's not that complex of a movie. So, honestly, it's an okay movie that I've seen it. This is the first time I've seen it in a while. Compared to when I was a kid, I think I liked it more as a kid than now. Like, if we did do the second one, like, reviewing the second one, it would probably be very brief or something like that. We probably wouldn't go too deep into it, but that's really all I have to say about Scary Godmother.
I'm not even going to give a rating.
Don't want to give honey, give some kind of rating.
I don't, because I didn't really see it. I was just listening to the dialogue because looking at the animation hurt. So
I'm going to guess you give it like a 1.
No, I can't give it a rating, honestly.
Please give it some kind of rating.
I don't know. I give it the rating of please remake it again, but with better animation. That's just pretty much what I rate it as.
This is one of those movies where JC doesn't even have a fucking rating for it. Because to them it's that bad.
It's not bad. It's just I don't have an opinion on it, so therefore I'm not going to rate it.
Okay. For me, I probably give it like a 3 out of 10. I feel like this is one of those things that desperately needs a remake. It's much better if you're like a kid and you've seen this.
It's much better when you're a kid and you don't know the concept of
animation. At least enough to the point where you look at this and be like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So, yeah, I give it a 3 out of 10. It's still a good movie. However, it's really dated at this point because of the animation and stuff like that. It's pretty dated if I had to, like, think about it. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Scary Godmother. So that's why, like, we're including this one with the Paranorman part. Mm-hmm. Just because of how short it is.
Yeah.
That's the only reason we're even including it. If this was just a separate video on its own, we probably wouldn't even do the review for it. We would probably just say, if you want to watch this movie, go for it. But if you want to watch it just for the nostalgia, I feel like it's a good thing to watch it. But other than that, you're really not going to get much out of it. It's not that impressive. It was good for its time, but not for now. But last thing I'll say on it before we talk about Paranorman, this definitely deserves a remake. What do you think, honey? Would you watch it if it got remade?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, and I would too. So, enough of that. Since it's like very short, that's why we're including it with this other one.
Go to Paranorman now.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, Likee sports gay rights. Fuck yes. That's one thing I have to say about this, and you'll see why if you watch the movie. Anyway, so yeah, now we're going to talk about Paranorman. So what did you think of Paranorman, honey? And can you explain the plot?
Yeah, it's about a kid who sees dead people, and since he's the only one who could see dead people, then he has to stop a witch's curse that's gonna raise the dead.
Yep.
That's the plot.
That's basically the plot of this. This is one of the this is a film created by Likee. For those who didn't know, they're the same people that made Coraline, Box Trolls, The Missing Link, and Kubo. So it's one of those companies. They do like stop motion animation.
It's a company that's broke.
Well, Nike's the only reason they're still alive. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's a good company. Like, I feel like it's a good company. The ideas for them are there. Like, it's really good ideas. And I'm glad that they are doing movies still. This is like one of their older movies, I believe.
2012.
Yeah. So yeah, this was the first time I've actually seen Paranorman. But I have seen a couple clips of it before. But nothing, like, too major. Because, like, a friend of mine is really obsessed with Likee. So, they really like Likee and stuff like that. And they showed me a little bit of Paranorman before, like, a couple clips. But that's really all I've seen before now. Kind of thing. So, basically, the only movies I have seen from Likee have been... so I've seen Coraline, Box Trolls... I saw this finally, and Kubo. Those were the only movies I have seen. I didn't see The Missing Link yet, and before now I didn't see Paranorman. Just because at the time, I didn't know if it was something I'd be interested in. But I am actually very impressed with this movie. I was actually very impressed with it. It did a really good job. Like, stop motion animation is, like, perfect in this. Like... And just the effects in general are perfect. What do you think, honey? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
They're good. I honestly, it kind of like, besides Wes Anderson, Coraline, and maybe Kubo, honestly, stop motion. I think Likee has gotten to the point where it's beginning to look less like stop motion and more like clay 3D animation.
Yeah.
It's beginning to look like it's more beginning to look like, you know, Wes Anderson does his stop motion with actual textures, like actual, like, you know, like he does it with actual smoke, actual fur, actual all that stuff. So like you can tell that, like, you know, you could tell that it is stop motion. But Coraline is their earliest movie, so you can tell that it's stop motion.
But a lot of, like, the future ones, like, they're getting to the point where, like, it technically is, but you can't tell.
Yeah, but like looking back at Paranorman, like I get it. I understand that it took a lot of time and effort to make all of this stuff and make it all like 60 frames per second.
Probably.
I think it was 60. Like, you had to make it 60 frames per second, and I get that, and I understand, and it's amazing what they do. It's just, I just think that stop motion is kind of losing its charm and kind of not looking like stop motion anymore. And this is probably one of those movies that, like, it looks great, but at the same time, I miss the stop motion, like, aspect of stop motion. And it's like, in Coraline, you get that in their earliest works because Coraline, like, you know, Coraline was like their first movie, so of course they were gonna have some bugs and tweaks, and that's why it does not probably look as great as other Likee films. But I still really, honestly, I really much enjoy Coraline more than like any other Likee product that's come out.
Yeah, because that's like your favorite of the Likee films.
Yeah,
JC is obsessed with Coraline.
It's not just nostalgia either. I legit think that Coraline is their best film.
Yeah,
like it's just a small movie, and this one it's like Coraline, and it like is a small movie, but I just don't think that it does it like. I don't think it's as interesting as a beginning to end. There's that middle point, and it's just a big chase scene, and it's not really all that funny. It's not really all that.
It's more of a serious like movie if you think about it.
It's a serious movie in the first act and the third act, but in the second act they try to add comedy, which I don't think really helps. I don't think it's really funny, to be honest.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. There's times where comedy works well in a horror movie, and there's times where it doesn't. And this is one of those circumstances where, sadly, it doesn't. Because the way that they were taking the movie for the first and the third half was really good. And I will agree the middle part isn't the best. Because they, instead of adding comedy to it, like, you can put a little bit here and there, but you shouldn't just mainly focus on comedy unless you're making a comedy movie. Well, this is like... Is it technically a Halloween horror movie, or what is it?
It's a Halloween movie.
Okay, because this is technically a Halloween movie if you think about it.
Even it was released in August, I think. No, September. No, August. It was released in August.
Yeah, so it's one of those things to where, like, you know why they...
But, no one fucking saw it much in August, because, like, literally... Oh my god, your phone keeps on, it's ringing. Literally, not much people saw it, at least when I saw it. Not much people were in the movie theater when I saw it. And, like, by the time, like, October came around, like, you already had 2 other Halloween movies that you could take your kids to. So, really, nobody really ever saw, like, you know, or, like, nobody went out of their way to go see Paranorman.
Which is kind of sad, because this is, like... Is this like a second film, technically? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is like their second film, which is kind of sad. Like, the first one did so good, and then this one kind of... I don't feel like it
just
flopped.
Went downhill.
I don't feel like it flopped.
It didn't flop, but it was the starting point of, like, a just kind of dwindling. Like, it was kind of dwindling, and then when Box Trolls, and then, like, Kubo... Missing Link, all of them.
Well, I feel like Kubo was really good, though.
Well, Kubo...
I actually really liked Kubo.
No, I'm not talking about the quality of the movies. I'm talking about...
Just the story.
Just how people just don't give stop motion, like... They don't want to go see stop motion, folks.
Which is kind of sad.
The showtimes are really inconvenient for people that can take their kids to, or they had to be shown in our house. They had to be shown in our house theaters.
What is that? I don't know what those are.
Like, they had to be shown in theaters that are not typically, like, people of the public go to. I remember when I went to go see Isle of Dogs, but it wasn't playing at the, like, normal theater. It was playing at the Alamo Drafthouse, which is, like, a very more expensive theater to go to. I paid $50 to go see fucking Isle of Dogs.
You paid $50 to see Isle of Dogs?
Yes. I enjoy it. But the thing about it is, it's, like, more... But the thing about it is, like, you know, if your film is being shown in, like, something that's not mainstream, like stop motion, then it's gonna I don't know what the problem is, but I guess parents don't want to go see, like, you know, take their kids to go see a movie like that because they think that, oh, it's stop motion, it's gonna, like, you know, be more of something that my kid does not want to see, unless your kid is actively wanting to go see it. And, like, you know...
or if like, you have, like, a cult following. Because I feel like stop motion nowadays, you have more of, like, a cult following for it than, like, a mainstream following.
Well, yeah, but you also have to realize that not everybody is a cult follower, and not everybody... Like, most people are the public. Most people are the mainstream. So, if you're not going to appeal to the mainstream audience, then
you're going to have to pick...
You're going to really be struggling. You have to pick and choose your... You gotta pick and choose. So, I mean, with Paranorman, I just think that, like, you know, the second and third act are so strong, and they're so good.
You mean the first and the third act?
Yeah, first and third act. I think they're so good, and then that lull hits in the second act.
Lull?
It's a really bad second act, like, really bad.
Yeah.
And I wish it wasn't those movies where the third act, like, saves it. Because then I just want to watch those scenes. I don't want to feel like watching the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is actually really fucking good. Like, the first act of it was so fucking great. And it was so perfectly set up. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. Why did I, why did I think that, this was, why did I think that this was lesser than any other movie that came out that year? Like, oh, great, this is, I'm in it for the ride, here we go. And then the second act hit, and I was like, what the hell? It was a big, whiplash, and it wasn't interesting at all, and, nothing was grabbing me, and I was like, that's why I did not that's why I don't watch this every single year. That's why I don't that's why I don't think this is as good as Coraline, or I don't think it's a great movie altogether, because of the fact that it hits that lull. And then the third act is it's refreshing, but at the same time it's kind of disappointing, to where I was like, you had a really, really good thing going, and then you kind of lulled, and then you picked it back up. I just want a movie to be consistent, from beginning to end, and I don't think this movie is
one of those movies that's consistent.
Yeah.
Which look, I'm gonna be honest, if you're gonna do a comedy movie, make the whole thing comedy.
No, you could add comedy and serious,
tones and stuff.
Serious tones. I don't mind that. It's just the comedy was not
needed.
No. It wasn't geared towards something like this. They were trying to do very over-exaggerated lines and very silly movements, but it's can't really do that, because that's not the tone that they set up, really. A lot of
it really isn't.
The physical comedy that people complain about in animation, characters just saying stuff real loudly, or running away, or just doing just doing very exaggerated things, when it's not that type of movie. That's what people complain about.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that it really... I don't think that the second act works at all for what the tone is set up.
Which is disappointing, because...
Because originally I was just hey, this is just a kid who, you could see it as he's seeing dead people, but I think you could also see it as just a kid who's struggling with a... you could also see it. I'm pretty sure there's kids who see this, who connect with Norman because of the fact that he has a condition, the fact that he has this quote unquote special gift. I mean, you don't have to see it as him talking to dead people. You could just see it as
him having a special gift that some people have.
No. You could also see it as someone who has a mental condition.
Yeah.
Or he has he has I don't know. You're more vague into this stuff, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. Let's say he has a kid with he's a kid with the I don't want to say
What do you think it is? And if it's something that's not the right thing, I'll correct you.
Okay. Okay.
What do you think?
Fine. Thank you for saving me. Let's say...
I don't mind. It's good to educate people on this kind of thing.
Let's say he has Norman seems like he's not a really happy child. He seems like a very depressed child. Depressive disorder. You could see a kid like that with depressive disorder. You could see a kid like that with some type of attachment, extreme attachment. You could see a kid like that with let's take it a little bit more further. You could see a kid like that with Alzheimer's.
Not Alzheimer's. You mean Asperger's?
Asperger's. Sorry, not
Alzheimer's is for the older people.
Wow. Okay, I got my whole fucking thing mixed up.
This is why I'm correcting you, so you understand.
Alzheimer's. I was still in the right A.
You're close.
I was
but
close.
Not
I was not quite. You could see a kid like that with Asperger's. You could see a kid like that with any type of mental disorder that you could see it as. And like the way that the family was reacting to the fact that they just did not want to deal with that they just wanted a normal child, and they kept on saying the word, I just wanted a normal kid. And like, you know, Norman wants to be normal, his family wants him to be normal because he thinks he's such a nuisance. Like, I thought that was like, oh really, like, you know, I get that like we should stop seeing for like metaphors and stuff like that, but the thing about it is, if it plays into the plot really well, and if you're making a story to where it is needed, and kids can understand it,
then you're making a good story.
You're making an okay story. I mean, I think you would, like, you know, if it wouldn't be Paranorman if he did not talk to dead people.
Yeah.
So
it would have just been Norman.
It would just been Norman, who had like a weird, you know, disorder. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I don't think kids are gonna be able to watch a movie like that. So
I feel like if you had to pick, I feel like the demographic specifically for this movie is not really directed toward kids.
It's not. It's directed,
I feel like it's more directed toward like young teens.
Preteens.
Like, preteens to like
adults.
Not really adults. I feel like this is more like in the teen category if you had to pick. Maybe adult if you're like really into stop motion.
This is a more adult kids movie. I mean, it has the PG rating, but it does mention things that like probably
would have gotten to like a 13 rating.
Meant sex, violence. They say the word jackass in it, which was very shocking to me.
Yeah, that I was surprised at. Like, honestly, because I'm like, isn't this PG? Like, which we don't mind personally, but still.
Yeah, but I honestly was really starting to dig it, and I was like, holy shit. I like this. I didn't really get into any other characters, to be completely honest. Just Norman, because I was like, damn, I could just like, you know, this kid is like giving me the feels, not only because of the fact of how he's written, it's just this voice acting is just perfect. I don't know who did it.
They have really good voice actors, and like, this is the thing with me. The sister, in my opinion, she sucked for like the first half, and then the second half when she's actually standing up to her brother, I thought that was really good. I liked the fact...
I thought that was forced, but whatever.
It was a little forced, but I still like the idea of
I think they just did that because they were like, well, we gotta have a happy ending with this dysfunctional family somewhat. And I just thought, like...
And at least the sister was
you were
trying.
doing everything really good. It's not... I just think that's not how...
They should have done it.
It should have been played out. You were doing it really good. You were showing that this family did not really care for this child,
which is sad, because that's like a true thing. Some families don't understand that some people are not born the same way. Everyone is born differently. Everyone acts differently,
or it's just genetics,
and stuff. It happens, and like, it's not the kid's fault. It's never the kid's fault, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he even said, like, you know, I think he even said that like, I didn't want to be born this way. That got to me. That really got to me. Like, I didn't ask to be born this way, and like the father said, neither did we. And I'm like, God, this is how you write dysfunctional family relationships. This is how you do it. It's just, it was the fact that they just rushed it so quickly at the end to like resolve it into like this like happy family dynamic at the end. It was just kind of like, you were going for something really good. I wish you stuck to it. Like, I just wish you kind of stuck the landing. But I don't know what else I can really say about this movie. I mean, it looks good. I just think that, like, you know,
it could have been executed better.
It looks good. It looks good. It like, the writing's good. The voice acting's good. I wish that it didn't have that lull in the second half, and I wish that the stop motion was
a little bit more prominent. Like, you noticed it more.
Yeah, because when I was watching it, I was like, there's a difference between watching it from then, when I realized it was stop motion, to watching it today, where I was like, oh, it just looks like, it looks like 3D clay. It just looks like a 3D animated film. Maybe because now we're getting into the point where 3D animation does not look much like 3D animation anymore, and they're trying to make
it as real as they can.
Yeah.
While still pertaining to animation in general. They're trying to make it as real as they can.
Well, no, now people are doing more cartoony styles in animation. They're doing different types of textures in animation. And I think Paranorman is not going to be it. Yeah, definitely. It is a stop motion film. Definitely. But I think as more time goes on, it's not going to be looked at like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to look like that. Coraline retains a more stop motion animation than it.
And I will agree with you on that completely. Because, the only stop motion companies I know of nowadays is Aardman Studios, who made Wallace and Gromit, which I don't know if they're still technically making stuff at this point, because I haven't seen anything in a long time.
That sounds
and Leica. Those are the only two companies that I can think of off the top.
Aardman Animation's doing it.
Yeah, because I like Wallace and Gromit. I used to watch them all the time as I grew up, and they're some of my favorites.
Wes Anderson will come out of his burrow and make a movie every 6 years.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, I'll say a couple things and then we'll give our rating. But for me, I actually really enjoyed Paranorman. I thought it was good. Is it the best of Leica's films? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But there's some aspects of it I do like. I do like that they were trying to tackle, the idea of maybe he has, he has, a mental, disorder or something like that. I like the idea of them trying to, help people that go through that kind of thing relate to it. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing. I thought that was a nice little touch. And the fact that, they were trying their best to, make it to appeal to, I feel like this movie, if you had to, give it a demographic, this is probably more for, the teens. I don't feel like this is more for, kids. Even though I think Norman's, 12, right? Is he 12?
He's, 11, 12.
So, yeah, he's basically a preteen. He's, a preteen if you think about it. So, and, I will admit, though, the second part, the middle of the movie was kind of blah and stuff like that. But the rest of it is fine. The first and third half were really good. And I agree with my partner on that, 100%. This movie has potential. It's just they should have executed it a lot differently than they did when it came to, the middle part. They don't have... If we had to fix anything with this movie, I would say fix up the second half of the movie, to be completely honest. Other than that, I feel like it's a solid film. Is it the best of Leica's things? Probably not. If we had to, figure out where this would be, tier-wise, because it would be S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, I think.
For Leica?
Yeah, for Leica. I feel like Paranorman would probably be, a B tier. Well, Coraline is one of the better films, would probably be, maybe A tier or S tier, something like that. We're just giving, general assumptions because, we have seen most of the movies. The only one we haven't seen is Missing Link. That's the only one we haven't seen from Leica. But I feel like if we had to, put them, we're not really rating the movies. We're just saying if we had to, pick what tier they would be in. Paranorman's definitely B tier. Coraline's probably on one of the upper tiers. I think it would be between S and A, probably. Kubo's probably A tier. It's one of the better films. Box Trolls I think is B tier.
You don't have to list every single Leica film. You could just give the rating for this one.
I know, but I'm just saying in general if we had to put them in tiers. I'm just saying because I think eventually we should watch all the other Leica films and then maybe eventually do a video about,
Box Trolls is the worst one.
What?
Box Trolls is the worst one.
I actually liked Box Trolls.
I don't like Box Trolls.
You really don't like Box Trolls?
I don't like Box Trolls. So fucking boring.
I thought it was interesting, but that's me. Anyway, so if you guys want us to watch more Leica films and once we finish watching all the ones that they have, maybe do like a tier, like a video just saying like our top Leica films or something, or like rate the Leica films from like 1 to 10. If you guys want us to do that, let us know, because I'd be more than happy to do that. What about you, honey?
Yeah, so what would you rate this movie?
If I had to rate this movie, I would probably give it a... I'm being generous with this. I'm probably giving it a 5.5 out of 10. I don't think it's completely bad. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie. If it wasn't for the middle scene, like the middle section of the movie, I would have gave this like a 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. But because of the middle of the movie being the way it was, I drop it down to like a 5.5. Just because the middle scene in the comedy, I feel like was kind of forced in like this, in the middle part of the movie, which I feel like in this case it wasn't really needed. Like, you can put that comedy and stuff, but you don't have to, like, make it the central focus if the movie's, like, supposed to be, like, a serious movie. Because I don't think that really helped the movie at all. Like, if you're gonna do anything with the movie, fix the middle part of the movie. Like, the first and third half are good and don't need to be fixed. It's just the middle.
Well, it's already made. You can't fix it.
I know, but I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Understand.
So what do you give, since I give 5.5, what do you give
5.
You give it a 5?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So... yeah, so that's our review for Paranorman and for The Scary Godmother. Thank you guys for watching, and be on the lookout for more Halloween Spectacular episodes. And I'm Mari.
I'm Jay.
And we're out.